y'all doing? How y'all doing, man? Thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy Young Dino. Y'all watching YDTV. Today, we got a lot of stuff to uncover. A lot of stuff. I'm gonna start off with this interview with John Lear. Mysteries, conspiracies, secrets of the world. Right. This is the truth that I cracked. I feel like I've figured out most, or a big part of the truth when it comes to these UFOs, religion, how it's all tied together. We're gonna get into it, you know. For those ones that are in tune to what's going on, that's trying their best to pay attention and collect everything that they given to us. That's a big one right there, that they're giving to us because they hiding a lot of stuff and sweeping a lot of stuff up under the rug. But as you guys are already aware, the Congress and the U.S. government has already admitted that UFOs are real. They have been conducting all of these tests and recovery missions and getting crafts, and even some alien bodies here. So that begs the question then. So what is religion then, right? It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's all tied together. And for us to get a better understanding of it, we're gonna have to go into this rabbit hole, y'all. So John Greer, whatever his name is, he wasn't the first whistleblower. Bob Lazar, he wasn't the first whistleblower. A name y'all gotta get familiar with, John Lear, right? John Lear came out 1987 with George Knapp on this broadcast media channel, and he opened up a whole lot of beans, y'all, and that's what we're gonna get into. Again, this was in 1987. Fast forward to 2024, and even before then, 1940s, what Hitler was doing. It gets deep, y'all. It gets deep. But we're gonna just listen to what this man has to say, and I want y'all to think about the things and events that's been taking place recently in today's time, including the Miami incident with the aliens in Miami, and just listen to these accounts, y'all. This is something that we need to be paying attention to. But without further ado, here we go. Y'all stayed this long, you might as well, do me a favor, smash that like button, drop a comment in the section, and don't forget to subscribe, because I got a lot of stuff to cover, and it's not the only video, y'all. So let's go. This is called On the Record.
Hello and welcome to On the Record. Flying saucers, extraterrestrials, monsters from outer space. The government has been telling us for years that they're not real. They're weather balloons, or swamp gas, or reflections from the sun, or the ravings of lunatics. But serious UFO researchers say a breakthrough may be very close. Some of the government scientists who worked on the top-secret Project Blue Book are ready to talk. What's more, a series of revealing government documents have trickled out of the federal files, documents that paint a much different picture of the UFO phenomenon. One of the most dedicated UFO researchers lives right here in Las Vegas. His name is John Lear, and he is my guest today. Mr. Lear, thanks for being here.
Hey, George.
To begin with, you're a pilot, thanks for being here. It's right here in Las Vegas of the UFO phenomenon. One of the most dedicated UFO researchers lives right here in Las Vegas. His name is John Lear, and he is my guest today. Mr. Lear, thanks for being here.
Hey, George.
To begin with, you're a pilot, an airline pilot, captain. You have held 17 different world speed records at one time or another. You're a member of the famous Lear family that all Nevadans are pretty much familiar with, a former state Senate candidate. You don't sound like the kind of guy who would get hooked up in something that a lot of people would say is a bunch of nonsense.
No, it's just by coincidence that I got really interested. This about 2 years ago. My father saw a UFO and my brother did. And they were very interested, but there was really no proof, as far as I was concerned, to really look into it until about 2 years ago.
Your father and brother saw them. Can you give details?
My brother saw one. He was flying the P-38 from Phoenix to Los Angeles at night. It just appeared in front of him. He made two turns, 90-degree turns. It stayed in front of him and then disappeared. And my father was flying at night, I believe, over the Arizona desert and saw one.
So you start.
So just a little bit of background on dude. He one of the top UFO researchers at this time. He got some connects with the Senate. He's not just some mumbo bozo clown dude with these that he just pieced together some thoughts and just came with his own, you know, delusions of UFOs or aliens or whatever, you know. And I just y'all gotta really be paying attention and listening. And then what we was always taught to believe was that aliens are little green men. Turns out, I'm gonna let him say it. Yeah, I'm gonna let him say it. Interesting, though.
You got an interest because of the other.
Interesting because this dude is he's not a regular civilian. He's coming out in 1987 talking about this stuff. But yet, I didn't even hear about this until just about like a couple of days ago.
Your family. How did you start out?
I had an interest, but there was really nothing I could put my finger on. Like I say, 2 years ago, a friend of mine came through town. We had flown in Southeast Asia together, and he was retiring from the Air Force. He came over, and we started talking about where he had been for the last 15 years. And he mentioned that he had been stationed at Bentwaters. And I said, oh, Bentwaters, that's where the flying saucer supposedly was in 1980. He said, no, John, not supposedly, it was. He said, I don't care if you believe me or not. It landed. I didn't see it because we were confined to quarters. But I know people who did, and I'll give you the names. If you ever see them, tell them you know me, and they'll tell you the whole story. Since then, I ran into one of the security police who was within 10 feet of the saucer and actually saw the three aliens get out and go up to General Gordon Williams, who was the wing commander at that time.
Now, there was quite a bit of documentation regarding this Bentwater incident. Why don't you go into that a little bit?
There's the Colonel Halt memo that came out under the Freedom of Information Act, and it told about the mysterious lights and beaming down and everything that happened in the forest except the actual alien landing. That wasn't in the memo. And there was also the tape, Colonel Halt tape, forest tape, that he made over a period of 8 hours. And there's a 20-minute segment that we've been able to get a hold of that you can hear him running through the forest and being worried, saying the things after us.
Now, why do you suppose that hasn't come out? I mean, this particular incident, why hasn't come out if so many people, and you've told me about this before, have seen it or seen these aliens? Why haven't some of them come forward?
A lot of them have come forward, but they're just not getting any press. It's something that people just don't want to deal with, the press doesn't want to deal with, and people aren't going to listen to something.
That's my question. Like, why do the press suppress this type of stuff? Why do the media help the government control people? Because it's definitely all about control. You know, I got a couple of hypotheses, theories. But man, why do they do that? Why do y'all think they do that? I think they do that because they just don't want people to get that power. You got to keep people down so they can control them. It's really just as simple as that, honestly. And that's about the only conclusion I can come up with. It's the same situation in any situation where there's a hierarchy in the power, or there's power hungry people, even in relationships. You got some men that likes to keep other people down and people down around them so that they can feel like they just on top of those people, and that is a mentality of a totalitarian.
As Dan Rather or any of your big...
I'm gonna keep this going. I'm gonna try not to stop it too much because it's already 26 minutes long.
The Air Force has made an art form of ridiculing people who have talked about this thing. They've done an excellent job of covering it up for the last 40 years.
Oh no.
Oh yeah, it's fine.
George, basically what we're dealing with.
And that's what gets me too. Y'all see the expression of this? That's George Knapp right there. Brown hair, George Knapp. Gray hair, John Lear. You can tell that George Knapp, the guy that's interviewing, that facial expression, like, these media people, they don't take this stuff serious, and that's why they are the ones to cover this type of stuff. They are the ones that's hired to hear this stuff out, put it on a platform, and make light of the situation, so that the audience, the people that's watching, the skeptics, which is majority of everybody is a skeptic, which is crazy, but to pretty much satisfy their skepticism. I don't know if you guys are watching Billy Carson. I watch him. I've been on to the ancient aliens things with George. What's his name? George, whatever the guy is with the crazy afro. I'm watching this since I was about 16. I'm 30 years old now, guys. 14 years. These are archaeologists, scientists, and researchers. So they've been doing this. They've been doing their research for a long time and been sharing it with the world. But they always run into these people with these platforms. They don't believe nothing. They're so brainwashed. They so caught up into the matrix. And when you take that leap and go outside those boundaries, that's when everything starts to see. You start to see everything clear for what it is. And just that expression, it's just like he wasn't expecting that answer. Even the guy that Billy Carson, they got Billy Carson talking to some comedian, and he's dropping straight facts, really dismantling any type of argument that there would be that pretty much majority of what we know is just fed to us as crap and derived from something way much bigger. And that's where we at right now. We're to the point of we're trying to figure out what that bigger thing is, because they're not telling us. But that's just crazy to me how they be so skeptic, and then they drop some knowledge on them. They just dude's at a loss for words right now. This George Knapp dude, he's at a loss for words right now. But just at what he just said is the main reason why a lot of you got regular pilots like that drive Southwest Airlines that see UFOs and they never said nothing, because of the FAA and the U.S. government does a great job at ridiculing these people, making them sound crazy, and ultimately making people lose their careers because of it.
Here is, I'll give you the bottom line.
Okay,
I'm not trying to sell it.
I want to hear your thesis.
I'm not trying to sell a book. I'm not trying to promote a lecture. This is based on what I've come across after intense research in the last year. And I have found out that the government has retrieved between 10 and 15 actual flying saucers, 3 of which have been in perfect condition, 1 of which they tried to fly. They have between 30 and 50 alien bodies in cryogenic storage. We even have the name of the person whose job it is to show these bodies to the heads of state and the people who are authorized to see them. They represent at least 5 different civilizations.
I can't imagine Dan Rather or Tom Brokaw, if that were to come to their attention.
I'm trying not to pause and let them play. But if y'all want to see this, I mean, just type in John Lear 1987. It's right here on YouTube. But I got to get my 2 cents in, because, like I said, this was recorded in 1987. And if y'all go back and watch some ancient aliens or ancient civilizations and watch those people talk and the stuff that they're uncovering, modern day times, it's confirming exactly what he was saying in 1987. Even the stuff that Billy Carson talks about, he just said that they just recovered at this time, 1987, that they recovered about 3 to 5 different alien hominids. Those are bodies, and they're responsible for 5 different civilizations. And Billy Carson kind of cracked this recently in one of his interviews that he did with that comedy dude. And this is in the Bible, bro. It says that we were made, quotation marks on this, it said we will make them in our image, right? So that tells you, and it doesn't say I will make them in my image. It says we will make them in our image. That should signify to people that there's more than one creator, my guy. You know, and that's why this stuff is important. I think that right there is the epitome of why they created religion, why they have slavery, why they have killed so many people to follow their religion. If we were all created by one God, two things about that. The text wouldn't have been plural, it would have been singular. Okay, it says, we will make them in our image, not I will make them in my image. If we were all created by, which, you know, technically means if we were created by one God, we would all look the same. And Billy Carson really he really thoroughly cracked this, because that technically does explain why we have different races. Science makes us believe, oh, you're like this because you came from this part of the earth, or, you know, this part of the region, or whatever, the atmosphere. And that's really not it at all. And it really gets more as simple as we don't have the same creator.
A story of that magnitude that they wouldn't do something with it.
Well, I can't answer that question. I don't know why they don't do it. There certainly is enough evidence based on what I've looked at. For instance, the Linda Moulton Howe documentary in Denver for the CBS affiliate there, called A Strange Harvest. Since 1975 to 1980, when she made the documentary, there's at least 9,000 cattle mutilations. Now, the government said that the mutilations were normal. Your desert predator did these, but they weren't. The mutilations,
We have a picture of these somewhere. Maybe we can see that as you're talking.
Well, that's
the next picture. There we are.
This is the mutilation of New Mexico State Police.
We need to start doing some investigating and interviewing these farmers. Why we ain't never heard anything from the farmers, at least I haven't. They can shed some serious light on this, because cattle mutilations is a big thing, right? They put it in the video games, Destroy All Humans. They put it in the movies, but this stuff really happens, and no one understands why. Like, why would the aliens be killing the cows? Well, we gonna hear about why right now. Why haven't we heard? I want to interview one of these farmers, bro. Why ain't we ever heard their side of the story and stuff? I heard a couple of farmers, you know, they'll say like, I remember this one, he said he actually seen a UFO in his field. And then when he woke up, he didn't think nothing of it type stuff. And then when he woke up the next morning, like, cows were mutilated, you know. Listen to this, what they finna say.
The research on, or the investigation on it, and they cut out certain
another
parts,
thing that the government don't talk about, and they try to cover it
the
up.
cut was made with a laser beam far sharper than anything we have. As a matter of fact, they were able to determine that they cut between the cells and didn't cut the cells themselves. We presently don't have this kind of technology.
Well, if we don't know that we have this kind of technology, or you and I don't know that we don't, but that doesn't prove necessarily that it's ET.
No, except that there's usually a visual sighting of a flying saucer, or a strange light at each one of these sightings.
Okay, you mentioned the saucer.
Excuse me, sir, Mr. George Knapp, and all the skepticism, all the skeptical people out there. First of all, how can you? He just said. First, there's so many things like that just not making sense about the cow mutilations. Who in their right mind is finna go random farms and just mutilate cows? Like, what are we doing, bro? Like, who does that? I don't think they got crackheads out in the Timbuktu areas on acres of land tweaking like You ain't gonna find no tweakers out in the farm areas, bro. If they ever did find one, it's probably someone that they put on drugs to cover up a story. But correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. If y'all ever heard about anybody getting caught for mutilating cows, and then listen what he just said. Cut open, laser precision. They wasn't just cut, but the set. What did he say? He said something about the cells, not something that just wasn't like normal, bro. That's beyond normal. And this is 1987, y'all.
And the bodies. Now, what kind of proof do you have that is true? How do you know that?
Well, let me take a look. Let me read to you first.
Why he seemed like he's upset, like he's agitated, or like irritated, like that he's coming out with these facts. Like, what makes you think that? Well, what makes you think it was a UFO? That couldn't have been a... Like, well, brother, look, he done already said, it's 2024. Nobody ever heard of this dude. He done already came out and said, look, I ain't trying to get famous. I ain't trying to nah, I'm putting this out there because people need to hear it. The government is lying.
What the Air Force says about the bodies. First of all, I'm going to read from the Introductory Space Science, Volume 2, Department of Physics, United States Air Force. This is Chapter 13, Unidentified Flying Objects. Now, this is what the Air Force has the students at the Air Force Academy read. And it says, the most commonly described alien is about 3.5 feet tall, has a round head, arms reaching to or below his knees, and is wearing a silvery spacesuit or coveralls. Other aliens appear to be essentially the same as Earthmen, while still others have particularly wide wrap-around eyes and mouths with very thin lips. And there is a rare group reported to be about 4 feet tall, weight of around 35 pounds, and covered with thick hair for clothing. Members of this last group are described as being extremely strong. Now, I'm not making this up. This is an Air Force. You can pick out an Air Force physics book and read this stuff. And at the end of the chapter, they go on to say, this leads us to believe in the unpleasant possibility of alien visitors to our planet, or at least of alien-controlled UFOs. Now, the picture that we have of the big head that the Air Force describes, this picture was drawn by an Army surgeon. These are one of the bodies that was recovered in the famous Roswell incident of 1947.
Tell us about that.
It was the first flying saucer that crashed and was recovered.
Yeah, I remember at once upon a time they tried to deny Area 51. They tried to deny Roswell and the events that happened right there. We finna hear. There was this dude. We finna hear about this right now.
It was covered up.
Is a picture that was drawn by one of the guys that was at the site.
There has been several books about it. They recovered 4 beings, and one of the surgeons that was responsible for the autopsy drew that picture and came up with some of these interesting things in the autopsy. I'll just read a couple. 3.5 to 4.5 feet tall, 2 round eyes without pupils, no earlobes, nose is vague. Neck described as being thin. Arms is described long and thin, reaching down to the knee section. You can see that there's a webbed portion in the hands. No teeth, no apparent reproductive organs. Brain capacity unknown. Colorless liquid prevalent in the body without...
He's saying a lot. And maybe I gotta pause and go back so y'all can really hear those descriptions. But something just hit my brain. I just forgot to speak on it. There was an account where Billy Carson talks about a time where he had an encounter with some ETs. I'm gonna call them demons. And I said, I'm gonna get to that later too. But he had these demons. And one of the descriptions he just gave out, I was kind of skeptical when I heard Billy say this. But he was like really emotional when he was talking about this. He had tears in his eyes. Man was crying and sweating, like he was really remembering something traumatic. So that's something that even actors, paid actors, and this man is not in no movies at all. Paid actors have a hard time to pull something like that off. But yeah, Um, Again, this is in 1987. Fast forward right now, you got Billy Carlson talking about the same descriptions and countless others. You know, the Miami Mall incident. They said that these things was like 15 feet tall. It was like shiny, kind of like weird looking, and didn't have skin, but like some type of shiny stuff. It was fading in and out of reality. Go check out that Miami Mall incident, man. I'm gonna leave it right there. We're gonna continue this on the part 2. But just again on that Miami incident, they had the whole police squad at the mall. Probably even more than that. Me and my girl was just watching some that, and this is in Florida. It was in I forget what part of Florida, but well, Miami, Florida. We was watching some shit where this dude done took a tractor, ran it through a dorm, continued driving. I think he took out like 2 more people, then ran into a police car. And I think it's probably like only like 2 or 3 police cars on that scene. A whole lot of stuff been going on in Miami. And you have never in your life, not even I haven't, I ain't never seen the police respond with that many police cars. I was at Miami Mall. And to this day, there's no CCTV footage of nobody throwing no fireworks. There's no fights. None of that. But we do got some footage of a 10, probably it was bigger than 10 feet. I'm going to say about 13, 14, 15 foot something. Shadow being, I'm going to call it. Demon. Yeah. The truth is cracked, man. The truth is cracked. I'm going to get further into that. Y'all tune in. Cause we're going to continue this on the part 2. We already about 27 minutes in. If y'all stayed this long, thank y'all. Appreciate it. Smash that like button. Drop y'all comments on what y'all think. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe. We're going to talk about these demons though, y'all. Part 2 coming up.